As President Biden campaigns for re-election, the president has been making efforts to win over skeptical Americans. However, the curveball might give Biden the political break for another term as president. Here with what to watch there is Yahoo Finance's very own Rick Newman. Rick.
Hey guys, just about every week Biden gives a speech on the economy, sometimes two, three, or four speeches on the economy. Not much lately. And why is that? Obviously, he's got more important things for the time being to talk about, making the case last night to the American people for basically $100 billion in additional funding for Ukraine, for Israel. And Biden is, right now, he has become a quasi-wartime president. The United States is not at war, thankfully, but it is supporting two nations that are at war. So the question is, could this help Biden politically? You could argue that foreign policy and foreign affairs is Biden's strong suit. He spent years in the Senate, some of that time as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. He has deep experience, as he has been reminding people. This is one area where Biden's age might actually be an asset rather than a liability, since he has met so many foreign leaders and been to so many places. So he's gotten strong marks so far for his public statements on Israel. He has been pretty fair when he says we support Israel, but we also are urging Israel to be very cautious about minimizing any civilian casualties if or when they do. Well, they're already bombing Gaza and they're going to mount a ground operation there. So will this change anything about his presidency? I mean, depends obviously whether the world gets more dangerous or less dangerous over the next 12 years. But for the time being, we're going to hear less of Biden trying to get Americans to give him some credit for record job growth under his watch and for inflation that is finally falling back toward the Fed's target of 2%. He's going to be talking less about that and more about what's going on in other parts of the world. So a respite from the economic speak for at least a little bit.
It's going to be hard for him to get a W, though, on this latest plea for aid, right, including for aid for Israel and Ukraine, if the House can't get its act together.
I think he's going to get this package passed somehow. I think so, the latest we know about what's happening in the House is Jim Jordan lost 3 times in his bid for the Speaker. He's now out. They're now going to try somebody else. Next vote for whoever, we don't know who, could come by next Tuesday. As the legislative train gets rolling here, what can happen is the Senate can create the legislation and then pass it to the House, which puts the House in the position of basically, at that point, it's no longer theoretical. And the House wants to have some say. They want to be able to shape this legislation. So if all they can do, if they're so handicapped because of the dysfunctional Republicans, all they can do is take what the Senate gives them and vote it up or down. I mean, that might be a thing that gets Republicans to say, okay, we finally have to get somebody here so we can help shape this legislation. Most of the analysts are saying there is a good chance this legislation is going to pass, maybe not $100 billion, maybe something less than that. But just keep in mind, just a month ago, Biden was only asking for $24 billion for Ukraine, and now he's asking as part of this big package for $60 billion. So the ask has gotten a lot bigger. So Biden White House probably figures if we get a portion of what we're asking, that will be a win. I don't know that voters are going to give Biden a lot of credit for that. Foreign policy, foreign affairs is not something voters usually really get behind a president on. It's almost always the economy, but at least Biden has a chance here for a while to demonstrate some leadership on a different issue.
Yeah, it was pretty striking today in our conversation with Ian Bremmer, Rick. He pretty much said if Ukraine does not get U.S. support, it's not going to win the war. So, it seems like the stakes are indeed pretty higher. We'll see if House Republicans can get something through. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Rick. Have a good weekend.
You guys.